Hey everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today's video is a slight priority video that I wanted to do. It's in regards to a live stream that I saw on TLA. I think the subject, not the topic, but the subject is really important, which is why I wanted to discuss it further. Now I know everyone out there is doing videos in regards to Will Smith, and I had already previously made one and I was planning on letting it go. However, I thought this was an excellent teaching moment, which is why I'm doing it again, in hopes that, well, let's watch the video first.
To Zoom to Thailand, also excellent content creator. Oh yes, guys, y'all know Zoom to Thailand. He's an actor out there. That's why his production value is so good. When I saw his videos, I was like, this guy's number one. Says, I know Will. He's a good guy. I just think he's had enough. I think he put the world on notice. With that being said, Chris didn't deserve the slap heard around the world. You say, I think he put the world on notice. You think he put the world on notice of what? I know that's your boy. So, all right. You listen, you got to stand up for your boy. I feel you. But you think he put the world on notice? Will Smith. Red Table Talk Will Smith put the world on notice with that slap. What was the notice?
What I meant by put the world on notice is he's letting you know, you talk about me, my wife, you try to clown me, this could happen to you.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Okay, before we get into it, I wanted to say first shout out to Zoom to Thailand. Richie Mack, the travel OG, is an excellent content creator. He definitely puts in his time. He's definitely put in his work in the Hollywood industry. I have a lot of respect for him. I'm actually subscribed to him myself, and while I haven't been out to Thailand personally, he definitely makes it seem like a wonderful place. He's providing an excellent positive message to men, the YouTube community, so I want it to be said that this is in no way a beef towards Will Smith or towards Zoom to Thailand. However, I think this video provides considerable value and purpose to everyone who watches it.
Anybody else want a whiskey?
Yeah.
All right, look, pay attention, everybody.
So now that we have the intro out of the way, hopefully we can get started with today's conversation. Again, if I'm overthinking what I heard in regards to both what was mentioned on the lead attorney's channel, as well as what was reiterated on Zoom to Thailand, I apologize straight off the bat. But I thought this would make a wonderful teaching moment for my subscribers as well as any men that are out here working on their purpose. I think more than anything with a lot of the stuff that's going on, not just the Will Smith incident, but just in general, it's important if you're a man to be on your purpose. I think there's nothing more important than having a man who's on his purpose. What is a man on his purpose, or what is a man's purpose? I think this can be considerably different depending upon the man, but I think it's especially important regardless. For some men, it's important for them to have the right significant other, whether, their life partner, their girlfriend, their wife. For other men, it's achieving certain goals, surrounding yourself with the right type of people. Maybe perhaps it's success, or it could be different types of freedom, freedom to travel, financial freedom, different types of freedoms. And while all of us are men, and there are certain things that we specifically are aimed towards achieving, there's something specifically important with making sure that you're putting out the correct message or putting out the appropriate energy. Now, in regards to the first part that we had watched, in regards to that response, I don't think Will Smith has anything to prove to anybody, so there's really no need to put anyone on notice. I think what happened, and while I have my own opinion, and my subscribers may have a similar opinion or a different one, I think as people in general, we can all agree that what happened, but the majority of people cannot move that way. And that's actually what's coming from today's message. The energy you put out there, or the message you put out there, tends to come directly back at you. And again, I'll say that one more time, the energy that you put out there. So let's just say that this was a legit thing and Will Smith was putting out that message to where if anyone talks about me or my wife, these will be the repercussions. I've been on several different channels recently, been able to hear a lot of great discussion, and I think it really depends on the man on whether or not he'll react. And let's just table that part of the conversation. Whether or not Will should have reacted, that's not important. I think what's important is acknowledging for the, let's say, the average man or slightly above average man or even slightly below average man. Will Smith is not an average man. And us as either slightly above average or slightly below, moving in a similar way that he moved on Sunday would definitely have repercussions for the majority of us. And I'm not going to necessarily say it was privilege, and they're still trying to work out the kinks on what exactly they're going to do. But it's still really important to acknowledge if you are focused as a man on your purpose. Occasionally we all make mistakes. That's fine. Sometimes, granted, some of the mistakes that we make or one man makes may be severely more detrimental or may cause greater issues to occur than another man, depending upon the environment that it occurred. Obviously, if an incident like that occurred and you were at your job, whether it's corporate USA, Burger King, anything like that. A customer comes in, they say the wrong thing. Your girlfriend just happens to be there at work, whether she's your coworker or you were just taking a break. Your wife or girlfriend gets disrespected, you slap the customer. Now suddenly you either have repercussions of being arrested, perhaps the company or organization is going to terminate you because they don't want to be associated with you working there to hopefully avoid lawsuit. It does occasionally happen. But the repercussions involved with you either making the wrong choice or thinking what the actual repercussions would be for your actions before choosing your actions can be extremely important to do. Now again, we can all agree that Will Smith is far from average. And again, on the tier list of men trying to fix their current position, men being in pursuit of their purpose, working on their grind, I think most of us can say Will Smith has already made it. Up until this point, he's made it. If he decided tomorrow he didn't want to work anymore, as long as he at least reasonably managed his finances, he'd be okay and he probably wouldn't have to work another day in his life. However, his particular actions, and there were actually a few little breadcrumbs that I had noticed, specifically after the incident where after the slap occurred, there was a little bit of drama. They were debating on whatever they're going to do, and I know the Oscars had mentioned that they asked him to leave when that turned out to be a lie. They awarded the award to Will, and then he went to the celebration party and danced the night away in celebration. Jaden had posted, "That's how we do it." So regardless if, since Jaden and of course Jada Pinkett, they didn't have necessarily anything directly to do with the incident, them co-signing on Will's actions directly has effect on Will Smith's legacy. Now for, again, Will Smith, he's already made it, so that's not a problem. The problem is your legacy is supposed to continue on after you're long gone, retired, and even after you've passed. Now, right now, I wouldn't say it's necessarily 50-50, but there are some actors that are coming forward to say their displeasure. I know Ari Spears was one of them, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Carrey. Now, the actual ones that are actually coming forward to voice their opinions versus the ones that will stay silent, it's definitely not going to be a 50-50 split. And while Will Smith does have enough money to produce his own movies, and that's not a problem, the issue is by his actions, he could potentially be dampening his legacy. Whether that's other actors that are willing to be in the movies with him. And again, I'm not saying that just on your principles alone should you make a decision. If that's the only work you can get and you're deciding in between either I don't work, I can't eat, or I get a really good paying job from Will Smith, hey, you do you. But at the same time, it's important to note that who you break bread with or the people you do business with, even if it's not their fault, if there's negative connotations against those people, they can actually be negatively reflected back upon you. And that's the one thing that we really need to focus on, is when you're on your purpose, make sure that you're clearly thinking about your actions, because there's nothing worse than you either working towards it, you're almost there to achieve it, or you slightly just achieved it, cross the finish line, you make one bad action, and then all of a sudden either you're 2 steps back, perhaps you have to start over, or it could be something more severe to where you're sacrificing some of your freedoms. Now, as far as what I wanted to mention was, I'd actually made a previous video regarding this. I just wanted to show a snippet of the video.
Because your mommy and your daddy got shot. You know about the ugly side of life, but you don't. You've never tasted desperate.
Well, you've never tasted desperate before. I think as a man in America, and just people in general, both men and women, there comes a time in your life, whether it's big or small, the life or the path that you're walking is tested. And while some of us may directly notice this and others may not give second thought or not give hesitation, I think it's one thing to really acknowledge and reward yourself for when you make good choices, either on your core beliefs or values. But I feel bad that this young man honestly feels that kind of desperate. He's obviously definitely not choosing to surround himself with the right type of people. One thing that you noticed, as soon as the guy came out with the gun, the driver in the SUV just literally took off, no hesitation. There's nothing more valuable than surrounding yourself with good people. Ones that hold you accountable and ones that will inspire you. Make better choices and choose better people.
Making better choices, choosing better people. And again, this is nothing personal against Will Smith, but when you're on your purpose, again, those you surround yourself with, and I also do believe Will Smith is a good guy and he's going through quite a bit of stuff, but for the majority of us that are not Will Smith or will never be Will Smith, we have to be a little bit more insightful and tread a little bit more carefully before making hasty actions. So like in this video clip that I just showed right here with the young man stealing packages, the porch pirate. In the case of the example, while his friend who was driving the car, whether it was a he or she, when things turned bad, if you're not appropriately choosing the right people, it's also something that can hinder you. Make sure you're doing the right things. Make sure you're thinking all your decisions through. A story that comes to mind that I want to share before I wrap things up. I wanted to share a video about a man I used to know. It was about 4 to 6 years ago. About 4 to 6 years ago, I was hanging out with a group of people that were in the motorcycle scene. I won't say which club or what city, but there was actually an older gentleman who was in his late 50s. He was ex-military, very well trained, well experienced, had survived 2 tours, and he was casually working as a military contractor. When the military needed something, they would call him. He would go out, do his job, and come back. While I didn't know him deeply, the interactions that I had with him were actually quite interesting. He was actually a very laid-back person. And when we met up, we met out at the motorcycle scene. And once I got past that stage, again, I wanted to kind of try to better understand people. I really stopped going to a lot of those parties and things like that because it just seemed like there was too much drama, too much BS, and everything else. And I had actually heard one random week that someone had showed up there to start some drama with another unrelated person. Had nothing to do with him or anything like that. It was just two regular people that just showed up at the party. And unfortunately, he was hit by a random, and he passed away that day. Understanding the choices that you make, either for the short term or the long term, can greatly affect you in ways that you can't understand. And I think in hindsight, and I really hate to do this, but in hindsight, regardless of how fun any party can be, surrounding yourself in an atmosphere that could potentially be dangerous does not equate to the value of fun that you could potentially have, even if you're with or around people that you care about. And I think it's important to acknowledge some of the things or some of the actions that we choose as men or as human beings, for any of my female subscribers, that we on occasion do when we either drop our guard, choose poor decisions, or just, occasionally get lazy and then make a choice. There are many things in this life that we can do, that we can choose to do. And while most of us can understand and empathize with others with happiness, I think one thing that most of us or more of us can understand or empathize with others is pain or bad memories. And that's really unfortunate. I think that for our community, for us to improve as a whole and also improve as an individual, it's really important to practice empathy more than sympathy, or try to practice understanding. But that's just my opinion. I'll try not to lecture you all on this Friday evening, Saturday morning. I hope you all are having a wonderful week, and I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. Send me a message. If you thought this video was helpful in any way, feel free to hit the like button. And remember, you're always welcome here. But we sure as hell aren't for everyone.